What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Fanboy Talks, where we talk about everything fanboys care about. My name is Vaughn.
And my name is Chase.
And let's get into this. Today is what I meant to say. Today we're going to be talking about open worlds. I guess it kind of suits that I am playing Fallout 4.
And what
open
about
worlds.
open worlds?
Yeah, just open worlds in general for the most part, but then also there's a large portion of games nowadays that are made specifically to be an open world, which I have no issue with, but I feel like they're flooding the market. There are just too many open worlds in video games. Any thoughts?
Well, my counter to that is there may be a lot of open worlds, but they're all different and unique in their own ways, so it's not necessarily flooding the market, in my opinion.
The only thing I see bad about people consistently putting out games with open worlds and marketing them as open world video games is that me working in games retail, literally the question I get most often, or people just I'll recommend a game, people will ask, is it an open world? And I'll say no, and they act like it's some sort of an inferior game because it doesn't have an open world.
Then anytime anyone asks, just say Grand Theft Auto 5.
Just immediately go to Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I find it kind of ridiculous. There's so many good games that don't have open worlds, but people refuse to try them out because they aren't open world.
Well, because the thing about open world is you can get a game let's just say randomly, The Last of Us, and you can spend however many hours the campaign is, and that's not really open world. There are openness to
it's kind of like a sandbox.
Yeah. So I mean, there's it's not completely open world. I mean, it's got some features of it, but there's that, and that can last you 22 hours or whatever to do the campaign and gather all your collectibles and stuff. And then there's a game like Fallout where you can play 100 hours.
Yeah.
You might have beaten the campaign. You don't really remember.
I've got 100 hours into this.
Yeah.
I haven't even beaten the campaign.
You may not have beaten the campaign. You don't remember. And you may have only touched a third of the world. So it just makes games, it feels more like the bang for your buck is better.
Yeah, but also there's open worlds that are just kind of boring. Like Mad Max. I'm not saying that game is boring, but I'm saying the open world is kind of boring because it's a large open world, but it's a desert. And you drive around, there's outposts and stuff like that, there's raider gangs and everything, but I feel like some people just don't know to... I guess my main thing that I think is bad about this is, one, the stigma that it puts on every other game for not being an open world, and two, people not knowing how to populate an open world. Mad Max, I would say that is the perfect example of a bad open world. Great game, but not great open world, because they didn't know how to really populate it, even though Mad Max, the world itself is good. I love the world of Mad Max in the movies and in the game, but it just wasn't done well. And I feel like the Batman Arkham games, I mean, they technically have an open world, but I also feel basically a lot of WB games, I feel like they don't have really awesome open worlds. Shadow of Mordor, good open world. They knew how to populate it. They actually made it seem like a world versus just being open space.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big thing. Is there's two things you got to know when you make an open world. You got to make it dense, and you have to make it, I guess, dense, and you have to make it have its own character.
Well, it's also got to be fulfilling.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to make it dense so it's fulfilling.
You want to be able to go to work the next day and someone else that you know plays the game, and you're like, dude, I found this, let's say Fallout 4, I found this vault, dude, and it's full of this, and and there's some Easter eggs in it, and it does this, and you want to be able to do that. You don't want to just go into work and say... You want to have water
cooler moments.
You don't, yeah. No, those are kind of awkward. You don't want to go into work and be like, yeah, man, I drove around in this barren desert for a while.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
I feel like I guess I'm literally changing my tune within 5 minutes. I'm not saying open worlds are bad. I'm just saying when they're done right, they're good, but otherwise they aren't.
I think what you're trying to say is they're not bad like at all themselves. You're just saying the light they shine on other games for
bad.
Not being open world, it puts a negative stigma on them.
Yeah, like most of the games that I love that are entirely like narrative driven, like The Last of Us, the Uncharted games, the like Life is Strange and everything. All these games literally have like, I mean, obviously The Last of Us and Uncharted have like small sandbox maps and like you can explore them. There's little exploration, but they're still awesome. They're dense in their own little ways because you got collectibles and all sorts of stuff. But something like Life is Strange, there's little to no exploration. Like, sure, there's a little bit of it, but it's still an amazing game. And there's a lot of people out there that just won't give it a chance because they don't have that one tag. Like, it's not an open world. And I guess I feel like not the concept of an open world is bad. I feel like what people think an open world is bad.
And I think that we haven't even reached like the max potential of open world. Because one thing that I hate about the open world games we have now, like Grand Theft Auto 5, is that it's open world, but it's also closed door. And what I mean by that is the world is open. All you want to do, fly your jets and stuff. But there's like very few like
actual buildings
you can go into.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely understand why they do that, because they have to, like, populate the world and make it seem real.
Well, yeah, and that would probably, like, triple the size of the game file or whatever.
It would triple the budget, because they would have to make all of these, like, assets inside of these buildings.
But I feel like that's where eventually we might get to, is an actual open world, where I can walk into someone's house and be like, oh, hey.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, and they can like get mad at me and call the cops or something.
They'd be like beating their meat, you know.
See, that'd be an interesting Easter egg.
That's an Easter egg.
Say.
Just an entire game where like all the collectibles are you taking selfies with people just jerking off.
It sounds like something that would be in Saints Row.
I could definitely see that being in Saints Row. I mean, Saints Row is like technically an open world, and I don't think it's a bad open world at all. There's a lot of open world games that have come out that aren't bad open worlds. I just 100% feel like people need to calm down with the open world thing.
But
they
like
just
I
need
said,
to, like, let it go.
People just feel like they get more for what they're
more bang for their buck. Yeah, I definitely believe that. I mean,
but like a game like you were saying, like a Barren Wasteland, the game Just Cause 3. I'm pretty sure, like, statistically or technically or however you want to put it, it has the biggest map, open world map of any game ever. But most of it is just, like, barren.
Like nothing.
Like nothing, or even just ocean. But the map is huge.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's true about Just Cause, because, I mean, there's huge maps, like, everywhere. Like No Man's Sky, dude. It's huge. It's huge. It's an open universe.
Okay.
I feel like No Man's Sky is the perfect like example of what happens when people like just love one portion of a game. That's what happens. So when all people were looking for was an open world, Hello Games was like, dude, we'll give you an open world. And then it was like an empty open world. Which I would like to clarify. I actually do enjoy No Man's Sky. I do enjoy it. I might knock on it every now and then. Don't think it was bad as everyone thinks it was. I mean, but I went into it with realistic expectations.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people that actually liked it, which was surprising to me, because when it first came out and all that stuff, all I heard about was how bad it is.
It's because you heard it from, like, okay, so there was, like, all these people that listened to everything that Sean Murray said and hung on every word, which totally makes sense.
Terrible idea, though.
They should, like, naturally, we should be able to, like, listen to something that a developer says and take their word for it. Be like, yeah, we believe you. You're going to make this large world. You're going to, like, inhabit it. Like, its inhabitants is going to be amazing. It's going to all be procedurally generated. It's going to be awesome. normally we should be able to do that, but in our world, it's not going to happen. Like, you just can't. You can't hang on every word that a developer says and take it as, like, take it as truth. You have to take everything they say with a grain of salt.
Well, we could sit right here and talk about the coolest game ever. We could add our own features, and we could add all this other stuff, an open world if you wanted. But realistically, there are things that have to get cut.
Yeah, you just can't do everything.
You don't have an unlimited budget. You don't have unlimited staff members. Like, that's not a thing. So, realistically, if you say you're going to do something, you're just like, okay, let's put an asterisk next to all this, because at any point, it can get cut.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the resources for it.
It definitely makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of games out there that large portions of them get cut because they just didn't have it. And it becomes DLC in the end, like Enter the Gungeon. A large portion of it was actually just dropped in the supply drop update because of like time constraints and like money, so they had to take it out so they could put out the game, and then they put it in later, which I have no issues with. Like No Man's Sky, once again, the Founders update that came out, they basically like put out the game, and then people were pissed off about it. Not me, people were pissed off about it, and then later on they started adding in things that they thought like people wanted, like base building. You can make your own like civilizations and stuff like that.
Well, I'm telling you right now, base building is always going to be a hit with everybody.
Base building's legit, except for the Fallout crowd. People were pissed that they included base building. That's kind of weird to me. Like, I feel like that's an odd, like, it was a great addition to this game, but a lot of people hated it. There was a large portion of, like, traditional Fallout fans that didn't like the base building, and I think they may have just not liked how simplistic it was. Like, it was deep, but it was very simple. Like, you just had these, like, assets that you put into the game, and then you just built your own base. You just slowly constructed it out of these small assets.
Well, that's how it should be.
Yeah. And I mean, they definitely, like, did a lot of stuff to, with their later, with their later DLCs, they gave you a lot more. But yeah, base building was like a big thing that just people, a lot of like original Fallout fans just did not like the base building aspect in Fallout 4 at all. It's very interesting to me.
That seems a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah, that they added something cool to a game and then they hated it.
Yeah, well, it's like those purists, you know?
Yeah, they need it to be the exact same way.
And
yeah,
I'm just sitting here like, well, go buy freaking Fallout 3 then. It's
Final Fantasy disease.
Okay,
like, well, that's what it's called. It's like people don't think a series should ever change. It should be the exact same.
Yeah.
But that's the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, make sure you like this video down below. Click that little button. Make sure you subscribe for all of our upcoming content. We post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And make sure you leave a comment letting us know if you like these videos, if we're doing anything well, if you guys feel open worlds are getting a little bit dull, or if you, like, basically leave anything down in the comments below. And yeah, and make sure you guys click or tap right there. You can subscribe and click or tap right there for our last video. Yeah, I hope you guys have a good one.